This is the story of Gavin. This video is part of 7 videos made in honor of Gavin for his 7th birthday. The videos can be watched in order from 1 to 7 or whatever order you choose. Please subscribe to show your love and support. This is Gavin's mother, Danielle, sharing his story.
You got there, and what it sounds like is that you weren't taking any extra time along the way to think about being at a hospital. You weren't going off with Michael saying, geez, do we really want to do this? Your mom was there with a wheelchair. She wanted you to go and have that baby.
Yeah. Literally, that's how it was. It's just like, we're having a baby, like the baby coming out right now. And there was no time between. There's no anything. I want to say the time between driving and getting over there was when she made her phone calls, which took probably a couple minutes. And then I don't even know how long that took. And then we had, like, it was like, then she had her plan when she talked to the doctor. And then when she stopped us to put on the oxygen tank, that was like really it. That was really the only time we were just headed to the hospital. Like, she told us, like, follow us, let's go over here. And we were like, okay, hospital, we're going to the hospital. And we just followed along and just went over there. We didn't think anything up. We didn't even look the hospital up because we were in a different area that we're not used to. So we didn't even look at what roads would have been faster. We didn't look at like where we were. She was like, I know exactly where to go. Just follow me. And so we were just like following her. She was in her car and we were following her. And she still ended up getting there ahead of us because what happened was, I'm pretty sure she flew through a light and we didn't make it through the light. So we got stuck. And if you get stuck at like a light in like a city, you're there sometimes.
The light in Las Vegas, everything is timed.
It's time. You're like sitting there and you're like watching all the cars of the whole street going by. So I was like, oh, we're never getting there. Like, that's kind of like, and I was in the back seat just saying over and over, like, we're not going to make it there in time. Like, this is it. Like, we're not going to make it there in time. And he was driving like a panicked, crazy person that was just trying to get there as fast as possible. Like, and, as fast as you can without having a siren over your car and as fast as you can, like having to stop at like all the lights to get to there. I mean, and there's a lot of lights. If you actually look in front of a hospital, there's a lot of freaking lights. They have lights in front of hospitals to get inside the hospital. So it's like, it's kind of weird if you actually think about that. You don't think about if you sit at a light for 30 seconds, like, and you set up 5 lights, you really don't do the math. Like, if you start actually thinking about how much time it actually takes a lot of time. And even ambulances and fire trucks and police officers get stuck in Vegas traffic with their sirens and yelling, move out of the way. We hear it all the time. Like, I was driving just a couple of days ago and literally seen a cop come up and was telling people to move because people stop moving. And so that's another thing is you think of like, if you're actually with the sirens going and stuff, people panic as they're driving and they just sit there. And then that's just more time that they're trying to get to wherever they're supposed to go. So, but we were trying to get there as fast as possible. There wasn't enough time. We weren't as close as we thought we were either. And it felt like forever. It felt like an eternity driving to that hospital. Like, I can tell you.
And I know you had talked about your experience. You knew, you had a feeling driving in and you're experiencing all of these things, but there's still that hope that maybe you were wrong. Maybe things were going to be okay. So you get up to your room, you're on the monitor, you're still hopeful, but what's happening. Is your husband in the room with you? Is your mom with you? Who's with you?
Michael was parking the car. He didn't even make it up there at this point. And my mom was there. She was there, whatever she was doing. I don't know. She was talking. I just remember she talked a lot. So she was talking and there were a lot of nurses in that room. One was strapping me up. One was hooking up the monitors. I think they might have even been checking they might have actually been checking my pulse and like checking me too. But I was just so out of it. I don't really remember much of what they did. It was so fast. I just remember that he they asked my name. Is this your name? And I think they asked my birthday, and my mom had to tell them because I couldn't say anything. And I just nodded my head because they said, I think they asked me like, do you give us consent to treat you or something like that? So whatever, however they put it. And I just was nodding my head, and I didn't sign anything. They didn't pull out any paperwork. They didn't anything because the truth is there was just no time. And as soon as they had got the monitor on and the monitor popped up and you could like actually hear the heartbeat, and throughout the room, he stopped talking. He was like in mid-sentence saying something. And he was like, is that, I'm pretty sure it sounds weird, but he was like, is that baby? And they kind of like, everybody just stopped talking. And he was like, we have to get baby out right now. We have to get baby out right now. And he just started like, and everybody just started like I can't explain it, but everybody just started flowing really fast. And he just took off out of the room. And I was in a wheelchair, and they wheeled me out of the room. And I don't remember too much about that because I know they stripped my clothes off. I don't remember them doing it. I don't know how many nurses it took to take my pants and stuff off. Like, I really don't know. But I know I ended up in the operating room by myself with a bunch of people, like a bunch of masked up, scrubbed up, ready to go people. I remember seeing the doctor like this, and he was like ready, and nobody was in there with me. And, you know, I was in shock. So I didn't understand what's going on. I don't know anything about C-sections. I don't know really anything about any of this happening. And at the time, I just thought, where's my blue sheet? Where's my blue curtain? Because I always see them like these medical things, like they have like a blue curtain goes off, and on one side is the medical team doing the surgery, and on the other side is like the person. And there was no anything it just didn't happen. So I was like, where's my blue sheet? And that's what I remember thinking at the time was like, where's my blue sheet? And then I kind of blacked out a little bit, but I remember people kind of talking, but it was because I went into shock. I started flopping on the table like a fish. And I'm pretty sure the nurses, they were so fast. And I had like the head nurse was there and a bunch of nurses, and they had to grab me so I didn't fall off the table. And it was just chaos because they had already prepped me and they were ready to cut me open, but you can't cut somebody open that's moving like that. You know what I mean? And a guy came in. It turned out later that he was the guy that normally puts in your epidurals and he's your medicine man kind of thing for your pain relief and all your stuff. He came in, and I just remember there was like a little guy that came in. Like, you have to remember, I was on the table, like there's like some weird stuff going on, and a little guy came in, and he was like, let me give her an epidural. And the doctor was like, we don't have time. And he's like, well, I have to get the baby out right now. And he's like, you can't do surgery on somebody that's in shock. I can do it really fast. Just trust me. And he was like, fine, do it. And literally the head nurse got in my face, and she was like, I'm going to flip you over. And I was just, you know, whatever the heck I was. And they flipped me like forward, and must have put it in, and they flipped me back down. And sure enough, my curtain was there, by the way. They had my curtain. But I remember it was at that moment that Michael came in the room. And for some reason, Christy came in the room and not my mom. And I found out later that when all the stuff was going on, my mom followed down the hallway, and she was picking up my shoes and my pants and my underwear off the floor. And Christy pushed my mom out of the way and ran into the room with Michael. And it's only 2 people allowed for a C-section, you know, to be in there that's not medical. That's just like family or friends or whoever you want in there. So my mom didn't even get to be there. It was actually her. And I didn't understand that. And I really, at the time, I really didn't question anything, because I just was like in this complete despair of losing my kid. But I do remember her being over me while they were working on my son and working on me and all this stuff. And I was getting like jerked around because there was a nurse on my body, and there was a lot of things happening. Having an emergency C-section is no joke, because your body goes through so much different stuff. And To put me back together actually was really hard. I do remember that because they had to have a nurse get on my chest because they couldn't pull my muscles back down to even close me back up. And they worked on my son, and you didn't hear anything but medical terms and beeping. There's a lot of beeping and noises going on. And they were just so busy working, just working. And it was just it's such a weird thing to even think back of because of where I was in the middle of this room with all these people. And when they took him out, I think Michael must have been there because I could have sworn they were both there at this point. For some reason, I kind of remember that I remember a nurse saying, "Hi, baby." And then the nurses ran over and they were working on him. But they were just working so hard. Nobody was talking. No one made a sound. No one said a word. Like they were just doing like what they do. Like they literally just, it was so like, this is what they do. This is how they handle it. They have it so organized. Like it just, that's what they do. And I remember Christy just like, breastfeeding, and she was just saying all this stuff. And it was just like, it was just so weird to be saying that. In the middle is like my kids over there and they're working on him. And I can tell they're working on him because I had already thought coming into the room, there was just not enough time. And I can hear like beeping, but nobody's actually talking. And that's how you know, like things are not good. If they're not talking to you or they're not talking, things are bad. Things are really, really bad. And finally, it had been, I don't know, at this point, I didn't know how long it had been. It felt like forever. Everything feels like time doesn't even make sense. Another guy came in the room and I remember him saying, "How long have you been working on him?" And they were like, "Oh, by the way, she announced it was a boy." We didn't know if we were having a boy or a girl. And in the middle of all this chaos, and I was like, I think I'm going to pass out. And all this crazy stuff's happening. And Michael's crying and I'm crying and all this stuff. She's like, "You have a kid." Because she looked over and seen my kid getting worked on and that he was a boy. And nobody got to tell me, nobody got to whatever. In the middle of all this chaos of me getting put back together, my child's getting worked on, all this stuff, you're telling me that I had a boy. And I was mad. Like there was part of me that I can't even explain of how I felt in that moment. But so all this weird stuff that she was saying, like it was like completely normal and everything was completely fine when it obviously was not fine, or they wouldn't be working on him. They wouldn't be doing all these things. And the guy came in and finally when he was like, "How long has it been?" And they had like a timer. Apparently they have some type of timer thing that they must turn on when they start working on somebody or when the baby comes out or however it works. I don't know, but they had a timer with exactly minutes and seconds, and it had been 47 minutes. And the guy was like, "You have to stop." And the nurses were so on it that the nurses did not want to stop. And that's what I remember is that he told them, "You have to. Like, you have to stop. It's been too long. We have to stop." Because like, and I remember him repeating it over and over because I'm pretty sure the nurses did not want to. I'm pretty sure because he came out alive. So I'm pretty sure they were just so like, "We have to do this. We have to save this baby." And so determined to save him. And so when they stopped, I just remember because the guy came over and like everything was happening over here. And the guy came over and he was like, "I'm so sorry. I'm just so sorry." And all the nurses over there, they just all started crying. And I remember them kind of probably turned because maybe they were thinking like, this isn't very professional or whatever, but everybody just started crying. My doctor did all his stuff and whatever. And then when I was everything, whatever, when I got all sewn up and everything, they grabbed him and they cleaned him up. They took Gavin, wherever they took him somewhere, the nurses all took him and cleaned him up and put clothes on him and that kind of thing and wrapped him up in a blanket. And and then I got taken out into like the hallway because they were not prepared for me. So they had to like make me a room. And so I wasn't like in like recovery. I wasn't in anywhere. They were putting me in my own room because obviously I just lost my baby. I don't belong to be in a recovery room with other women or around in the same area that are like nursing their kids or doing all this stuff. So I was like in a hallway, and I just remember all the nurses going by and like rubbing my arms and like just whatever. And like, I'm so sorry, and just crying over me. And it's weird because you think about it, like they're all in their nurse gear and all this stuff. But if you think about it, like, they're so human, just like us. Like everybody thinks of like medical people as like they're not human and they do it for money. But it was like, I didn't see most of their faces because most of them came out of the same room as I did, and they were covered up. They had like stuff on their head. I can't tell you what color their hair was. I couldn't tell you what they looked like underneath their mask and all their scrubs and all their stuff. But I could see their eyes, and I could see everybody was crying or been crying, and everybody just felt so bad. And that's what I remember. Michael was separated from me, so I was in the hallway by myself. He actually was, when it was so chaotic, we don't know where she went, but he ended up in another hallway, and here was all my family coming up. My dad, my brothers, all my brothers were coming in the hospital, and here come Michael down the hallway. And apparently he went to like my oldest brother, and he just grabbed on him and just started bawling. And like this is stuff that I heard about later. Like my family all had to like hear the news about what happened. And so I got put in a room, and then when I finally got put in a room, they brought Gavin. And they said, you want to hold him? Do you want to meet him? Did you pick out a name? You know, that kind of thing. And we had already picked out his name because we picked out a boy and a girl name. So we already had a name. And at the time, I was so upset. I was like, I can't hold him. I can't. And Michael was like, no, you will hold him. This is our son. And so he grabbed him and was holding him and was like, you know, you need to see him. And then it was a completely different experience because looking at the face of my child that I already knew what he looked like and who he was before he was even born. He was exactly what I thought he was. He looked exactly like I thought in like every way. And you still get like, even though they're gone and they're not breathing, you still get this like weird, like mother thing of like, where you still want to take care of them and do all these things with them, and you smell them and like you touch them and like, you know, you're just holding them, and there's still like that part of you that thinks like, this can't be real. This just can't be real. You know, it can't really be happening, but it's real. That's what happened. Really strange. One of the things that I had like problems with afterwards, you have to say goodbye eventually. You have to like let them go, even at the hospital. One of the things was I always felt this weird grieving thing about like never giving my baby a bath and never like changing his diaper. And I didn't even, you know, the nurses, they did great. Like they put a diaper on him and they put clothes on him and little socks and booties, and they put a bunch of stuff on him. But I never even had anyone there at the time to tell me to like take his clothes off and look at him. Like maybe pretend to change his diaper, because I know that sounds really weird, but like your instincts kick in of all the things you're supposed to do. And when you don't do it, there's another part of you that feels like it's another level of grief, which later I learned it's a lot of like death doulas and a lot of like bereavement ones. They do have you do like things like you would normally, like comb their hair or do different things with your baby that you normally would do with your child or your baby. But I grieve this like parts of my kid that I didn't get to do, which I mean, you grieve everything, but for some weird reason, like right afterwards, I thought, why didn't, when I was at the hospital, like somebody say, you know what? Take the blankets off from him, take him, like look at his toes and look at his fingers and like check him out. This is your baby. Like I didn't have anybody there to be like, you want to like look him over and you want to like, you know, here, I'll bring you a little tub and you can sit on your bed and wash your baby and dry him off and hold him. And, you know, and like nobody was there to tell me any of that stuff. And I know the hospital staff was really like, they were super awesome, very awesome people. But I think a lot of this is not prepared. Like, this isn't normal. This is not freaking normal. So it's like, I hate to say when people say, oh, babies die in the hospital all the time. It's not really that normal like you think. And a lot of times when babies do die, some stuff people know way in advance. And there's a lot of things that are more planned out. And yeah, so it's just really like, there's certain things that are planned out. Like, okay, you have to pick a funeral home and you have to, whatever, there's certain stuff, and you can have photography and you can do things like that. But there's just stuff that I look back and I'm like, I wish I would have known, because I just didn't have anybody there. And she pretended to be there, and she was like, let's do his hands and feet in clay, which I was like, that's nice, you know? She went to like a Michael's or something that was like really close by, and she got something, and I don't know if she just bought whatever she bought and didn't even look at it or whatever. The thing never hearted properly, and it just like fell apart. So all that stuff that we did, his hands and feet, like we still kind of have it. Like there's whatever, you can't really hardly see it, but you can still kind of see his little hands or his little feet, like just little pieces that we have left. That's all we have left. And there was like somebody in the hospital that they do that special, it's like a special thing that this lady does in play. And so the hospital did have that done. The nurses knew about this lady, so they did have it done. But I waited months and months and months afterwards. And when I finally got it, you can't even see it. Like if you look, whatever, like it's so light and it's so faded. And it was such a bummer because I wished, I mean, I'm artsy and, you know, and whatever. I wished somebody would have like, I don't know, brought me the stuff and I would have mixed it myself or did my own stuff, because it was a part of me where I'm like, I have like his hands and feet print from like what the hospital does, you know, when they give you like your baby stuff and they have all your stuff. But I don't have that. I don't have like the clay things that you could do. I don't have anything. I really don't have, you just don't have anything when this happens. And it's devastating. And I didn't have like really any pictures. I didn't have really anything from anything. I don't have any really experience of anything from this. So that's one thing I always look back and I always get really mad about. Pictures is a big deal for me. Pictures is a huge deal. Having a rainbow baby, I took a picture of him every single day. I'm pretty sure I still do. He's almost 4, and I would take pictures of him every single day. I have literally hard drives and things of all these drives of pictures of my baby, because I just am like, have this like panic thing of like losing the moment with my kid, because that's what I did. I lost a whole lifetime, you know, with Gavin. So I worry that I'm going to lose my life with my rainbow baby. So it's just a weird, there's just something weird about that. Like with grieving, I can't explain it, but that's what mine is. Mine is pictures, because I lost time. I lost memories, and I don't have anything. So mine's a picture thing. I know other people have other gimmicks, I guess you could say, but that's mine. So mine's a picture thing. So.
Yeah. Were you able to get some pictures at the hospital with Gavin before? Were you able to take some of those pictures?
We have the picture that's like on the Facebook profile of Gavin's page. That picture was taken by my brother. My brother just kind of jumped in and took a picture of his phone, and it was all like just in a little blanket or whatever. And so that one's actually one of my favorite pictures. That he just by chance, my brother took this picture, and so we have that picture. And then the natural people sent over somebody, but she never took pictures of a baby before that had died. So they sent over pictures, and we got pictures, and it took a while. And she didn't do a bad job, but I have seen the pictures from Now I Lay You Down to Sleep that the hospitals normally will offer. And they're really nice pictures, like really nice. I advise anybody, sometimes have 2 photographers come, because you might like one person's work better than the other one, and you can never have those pictures ever again. Like that's all you're going to get. And don't be scared to take pictures off your phone. I didn't take any pictures. I don't even know where my phone was, to be completely honest. I didn't take any pictures, but we do have one picture that is our favorite picture. And it's the next day after he has gone. The hospital told us we can keep him as long as we want to. So we kept him overnight with us. And the next day, I was laying in the bed like normal, and there's a picture that Michael took of me holding him, and I'm like smelling and I'm smiling, and there's a picture of whatever. And in case anybody doesn't know, but the next day after you have a baby that's gone, they're not the same color as they were before, and he was purple. Okay, so our bodies change after we die. And if you're not being like at a certain temperature and you're being warmed all night by somebody holding you all night and stuff like that, and all the tears and everything. So he was like a purple color. And we have the original picture, but Michael took it in like black and white. And when you look at it black and white, it's just a mother and holding her baby. Literally, that's what it is. It's just super happy moment of me just smiling, looking down, holding my baby. And that's what you see. And that's actually probably the most realistic picture that I have that represents like us together. That's the only picture I have. I have no family, like I don't really have any family pictures of the three of us together. I don't have anything like that. But I just have this one picture of us like together before, like pretty much almost just before they came in to take him for the funeral, actually. How I think about it. And that's it. That's all I have. I don't have anything. So.
You had mentioned your tremendous heartburn. Did that kid have a head of hair to prove it?
Yes, a full head of hair. Oh my God, a full head of hair. I'm pretty sure he had more hair than my rainbow baby, and he had a full head of hair too. But Gavin had a full on like perfect cowlick and everything that was like exactly like his.
Oh no, the dream was true.
He had like his hairline, like it was like perfectly around like where his hair peaks and everything. And I was like, he had little sideburns like him. And I'm like, oh, come on. Like he literally was just, it was so much like him. Like it was crazy of how similar he was to him. Like really looking back, like it's crazy. He's this little mini. He actually had like his shape head and everything. I don't know how that, like, you know, the second one has my shape head, but the first one has Michael's shape head. So he was just like him. And he had like Superman hands. Like he looked like he could just like knock you out. Like he had just, I can't explain what he did. He had like these big, like, I was like, wow, you have your dad's hands, you know? So it was pretty funny. Oh my gosh, dang, like, I don't know. He looked so much like him. It was like, kind of scary. But when he came out, I was told this by the hospital staff and by the doctor that when Gavin came out, he did have his eyes open and he was looking right up. That's why he looked right at the doctor. Like when he came out, he looked right at him. Like I don't know if it was like a thing of wisdom or a thing of something. Like he looked right at him. Like just he looked at him. And then the nurses took him off. And that's why when they're like, hi, baby, they were talking to him. He was alive. And so that is something like I remember I was told that afterwards because I wouldn't know that. But they were like, yeah, when he came out, he had his eyes right open and he looked right at us. Like he was very aware. Like he knew exactly like probably what was going on actually. And yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about. Oh, I'll tell you something really eerie about this. When we had him that same day, he had his eyes closed. And Christy wanted us to open his eyes and look at his eyes and see what color his eyes were. And I was like, no, I can't do that. And I've always known that he had the same eyes as me because my other one had the same eyes, but I've always known that we have the same eyes. Like he has my eyes. But I was like, why would you tell me that my baby is gone, that you want me to like open his eyes, like, to like look inside? I just never felt right with me. Something about that just made me really like, I don't know. I think that started my really bad feeling about her, to be completely honest, because it just really like creeped me out. Like you need to know this so bad that I don't need to know that. I've never needed to know that. I don't need to like open up his eyes and look in there, because even when somebody dies, you like close their eyes. like, you know what I mean? Like they're at peace and whatever. Like, you don't like open their eyes up and make them like, no, you can't be at peace when you're resting. Like it was just really, I don't know, really eerie and weird about that. It was weird.
So that last time there was that great picture of you and Gavin together, but then it was time for you to say goodbye. Did you stay at the hospital for some time after that, or did you go home that day?
They released us pretty fast. We didn't stay there very long. I was like, I made it clear with the doctor, which the doctor understood. I was like, I can't be in here because like you can hear like babies crying and you can hear like stuff going on in other rooms and stuff because they don't have a special area where they put someone like me or, you know, so you're just in the same area, you're in the same wing. And, we were like, we can't be here. This is too much. We can't be here. And so we got checked out pretty fast actually. And it might have been that same day or that night. I can't really remember exactly, but I remember it was really fast, like especially fast for being after a C-section, because normally they'll try to keep you a little bit longer and like longer than a regular birth or whatever, or vaginal birth. But no, we got checked out really fast and was just like, we got to get out of here. Like literally as soon as we had given him, we were like, we're done. Like, let's just leave. Let's go home and start our life. And we had family go to the house and take down like the birthing tub and like that type of stuff before we left the hospital. We didn't do it and let our dogs out and peck on our dogs and do all that stuff while we were there. But yeah, I was like, I don't want to go home and see any of that because it's just going to be a reminder of everything. And so they begged and grabbed everything and put it out in the garage for when we got there.
Came in to see you and she was with you.
Yeah.
And how did she hold Gavin? Did she want to be right with you, sitting on the bed with you? Did she try and talk to you about, help you process what had happened?
She was there. She wasn't very helpful in my opinion. She like kind of did like a little crying moment at one point, but she didn't really explain anything. She didn't really, I don't know. She was telling me about her stuff that she had going on with the midwives in town because she was renewing her license, or not her license, her certificate, not a license, but she was renewing her stuff. And so everybody in town knew about her losing a baby. And that's kind of how she put it, was like that she lost a baby. And there was a moment where she kind of, I guess, kind of asked me for forgiveness, where she wanted to know what I kind of like thought or felt or whatever. And I'm like, I just lost my kid. Like, I don't even know how I feel myself. Like, why can I tell you? I can't tell you about somebody else. And I just remember just kind of being like, I forgive you. And I look back and I don't actually forgive her. Like, I didn't actually forgive her when I was maybe even telling her like, you're forgiven kind of crap. But it wasn't like that. I don't forgive her. Like, that's the point. Like, I don't forgive her, because how can I forgive somebody that I didn't even know what she was doing behind my back? That she was writing about me on Facebook, blaming me for the death of my kid. At the same time, while she was there asking me in my face for forgiveness and crying and saying how horrible this is. But she never said she was sorry. She never told me the truth about what happened. She never anything. It was about her. That's all it was. It was about her. And so I can't forgive that. I can't forgive somebody that says something like, you know, if the only thing that I did wrong was not drag her in handcuffs to the hospital so she wouldn't be holding her cold, dead baby. So if that's what you have to say about me, obviously you didn't care about me, or you would never, ever, ever put that online. You would never. If you had a soul, if you have a conscience, you would not put that online. But that's how she was. And she got very supported by the midwife community, very supported. I wasn't, but she was.